Hey, it's Paul Stevens from iGo Sales and Marketing, here again with another tutorial for SuiteCRM 8 development. I've got an interesting project today. What we're going to do is we are going to create a custom action button in a record, and we are going to use that to send a webhook to N8N. And then in N8N, we are going to return an AI summary of that lead. Okay, so today I'm going to be focusing on the SuiteCRM side. I'll touch on the N8N side a little bit, but the purpose of today is really to talk about SuiteCRM development and using custom action hooks. Not really hooks, sorry, but custom action buttons in a record. So once we are able to do this kind of thing, there are a number of different applications for this. So for example, I'm using it right now to send the lead information to an AI agent where I have it go and look up through a web search everything they can find about the person, and then generate an AI summary and sort of like sales positioning and that sort of thing. But you could just as easily do, for example, like in follow-up email generator. So I could have, generate the first introductory email for me for this one, and you could actually send it too if you wanted to. We could do like lead scoring, like look up, you know, this lead, check out all the history, and like score the lead. We could have, for example, enrich the company information, find out more information about the company. We could use it for in the call or the meetings module. We could use it for, for example, creating a meeting summary. We could use it to, like, for example, in a opportunity, like create a task, like create the next best step to do sort of thing. We could use it for like sentiment analysis, like check out on this lead, or this opportunity, whether it's on track or off track. You could, for example, in cases, you could have like an action, like suggest a KB article. You could use it for like data cleanup, like, go and look up all the information on this person and, fill in all the fields. Like, it's endless, but it all starts with knowing how to set up an action button. Okay, so let's sort of get into what I've done so far. I'll give you a quick demo and I'll show you how it's all set up. And if hopefully I'll get around to setting up a blog article with some of the code and stuff like that. But anyway, this should give you a good example. So I've got SuiteCRM 8 going here. And again, this is a SuiteCRM 8 tutorial. So this is specific to SuiteCRM 8. You could do this totally fine in SuiteCRM 7. You just do it a different way. Okay. So what I've done here is, first of all, I've set up a custom field for AI summary, and it's just a big WYSIWYG field. And you can call it whatever you want. And put it wherever you want. I just put it on its own tab. Hopefully you know how to do that. Create a custom field and add it. I'm not going to go too far into details on that, but hopefully you can do that. So what we're talking about here today is the action button. Okay, so I have added a function here for research lead. Okay, so it does a couple things. So as soon as I press that button, it's going to go out to my N8N workflow. It's going to research the lead, and it's going to come back and populate the AI summary. And it's going to add a note to the timeline that it was done. So when the last time this lead was researched. So every time you come into the record, you're not renewing it. But if you see, this lead hasn't been researched in 6 months, you might want to do it again. Again, some of these searches cost. The one I'm using happens to be Brave. I used to use Google, but it's being phased out. So if you use Brave, your first 1,000 are free, and then after that, it's like $5 per 1,000. Anyway, depending on what kind of volume you're doing, you may be interested in different things. So, what does my N8N look like? So I send the webhook from SuiteCRM to N8N. Okay. And when N8N is the trigger is receiving the webhook. Okay. And then I added a bit of security here. If the security header matches, that it can proceed. Otherwise, it does not. And you want to do that because this Brave search costs, well, I mean, your first 1,000 are free, but if somebody pings your webhook 1,000,000 times, you're going to be bankrupt. So you want to add some security there. So the next thing that you want to do, if that's true, the security headers match, then you want to store the lead data. And it's just a way to parse the data that you get from SuiteCRM into various fields, so that you can send it to your lead research agent. Okay, and then the lead research agent has access to your ChatGPT, and again, you add the node, and you add your ChatGPT API. You add the Brave search tool to your agent and give it an API. But I mean, you could add a bunch of stuff here, like if you had access to a custom database, or a web service that supplies lead information, kind of thing. You could add that as a tool as well and have the lead agent. So I just basically give the lead agent a prompt that says, like, it's been a while since I've been in here. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. Okay. So I basically give it a prompt, says, use the Google search tool. Actually, I should change that to the Brave search tool. But anyway, to look up, the first name, the last name, the company, the email, and find what you can, and then summarize it in this way, and then to return it back in as JSON, so that you can process it. Okay, and then I have a wait node here just to wait a few seconds, because otherwise, this takes a few seconds to do, and if you don't have the wait node in there, it kind of gets messed up with the access token, and it doesn't have the information yet. So I've got like a 5-second wait. Then I'm going to use the SuiteCRM 8 API to go and update the lead record. Okay, so there are other ways you can do this. Like, I could return the value to SuiteCRM and have SuiteCRM update the record. I just had this workflow already previously set up, so I'm just using this one, and it works for what I'm doing. So, but there are always, more than one way to do things. So maybe a faster way would be just to return the value to SuiteCRM from the lead research agent, and then have SuiteCRM backend process handler actually do the record update. But anyway, either way will work. So in this case, I'm having N8N update the record in SuiteCRM, if that makes sense. Okay, so what does this look like? So basically, I go to actions and I research the lead. And you'll see it takes a few seconds. I could probably speed that up if I returned the values and then had the SuiteCRM backend update the record. But for my purposes today and just demonstrating that the button works, okay, so you can see that the workflow has processed successfully, and I now have an AI integration here. This is a test thing, so it didn't actually find anything on me here. But AI research is completed and the workflow has completed. So what does this look like? Okay, so what we're going to need here are a few components. We are going to need to set up, first of all, the front end button. Okay, so in SuiteCRM 7, you can edit the detail view and insert this thing, but we're going to do it in a SuiteCRM 8 way here, which is kind of new to me. So we want to set up under extensions, IGO tools. So this is my custom directory. You can call it whatever you want, but I'm keeping all my stuff under this folder, but you can call it, my custom whatever. Config, modules, leads, record view, actions, and then we need the research lead PHP, okay? And all this does is insert the button, and I'll show you that file in a second. And then the second file we need is the actual logic. So, and that goes under IGO extensions, IGO tools, modules, leads, record view, actions, lead research action, and that's our process handler here, okay? And then the third thing you just need is, like in typical old SuiteCRM, you need a language file to populate like the front end, what it's called. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these files. Okay, so the first one here is our IGO tools config, modules, leads, record view, action, and research lead PHP. Okay, so this is a small file. Basically, all we're doing here is we are just injecting the record actions. Okay, and if you look at the detail view, there's a whole bunch of other record actions there, like print to PDF and whatever. So this is just inserting this one, and the key is going to be lead research. Okay, and that's important because that's going to be the name of the in our process file here. It has to match. Where are we here? Let me open the other one. Sorry, it's this one that has to match. Record lead research has to match the process type record lead research here in order for this to kick off. And then once you add this first file, you will see in SuiteCRM that gives you a button, but it doesn't do anything yet. Okay. So once a good sort of first step is add the first file, and then you want to do a PHP cache clear, and then you should see your button. Second step is adding the logic, obviously. So let me get there. Okay. So in modules, or sorry, IGO extensions, IGO, module, leads, process, service, record actions, and then the name of your file. Okay, and again, after you add this file, you're going to have to do a cache clear, and then that will allow Symfony to rebuild it and add this to the logic. Okay, so all this stuff comes basically from the documentation. I'm going to try and add some of this stuff to a blog article. But basically, your namespace is where you find the process, right? And then this is just adding in all the process handler and legacy handler if you're going to use the bean. And then our action here. So all this stuff comes right out of the documentation. It's pretty much cut and paste. The only sort of important thing here is the process type has to match the process type in your button. Okay. The rest of this stuff is pretty much standard stuff. You can just cut and paste it right out. And then when we get to the run, okay, so basically I'm going to get like the lead ID. I'm going to open up the bean factory. I'm going to get the information that I need. I'm going to send it by curl to my N8N webhook location. Okay. And then you're going to want to send a header. Okay. And I send a secret key here. This is just an example, but you're going to want to put in a secret key there. So that someone just can't ping your endpoint a million times and end up running the workflow and costing you money. Okay, that's super important. Then it's going to return back the result. Excuse me. If it's successful, we're going to do a couple things. So we're going to get the current user, we're going to get the lead ID, we're going to create a note with the bean factory, and we're going to, this is the part where it creates the note in the timeline. So we're going to create a note with the name AI Research completed successfully. The parent type is leads, parent ID is the lead ID, the assigned user is the user, created by the user, modified by the user, and it's going to save it, and then it's going to return to SuiteCRM 8 that it was a success and that the message is research lead triggered successfully. Okay, and then it's going to reload the record so that the data is live there. Okay, so it's actually pretty straightforward. The tricky part for me anyway was getting this stuff in the right folder. I spent like half a day, moving stuff around trying to get it to actually work. But that's the hard part. Once you get that part done, and then now that you got the button working, you got the action working, it's just a question of, the possibilities are limitless. Once you create your webhook and send it to N8N, you can have N8N do any million number of different processes or things, and you can do this on any module. So like one example I gave was you could use it on cases and, have it look through your KB articles and suggest a KB article solution, right? So, you can really leverage this to save some time in processing things and automating things and having it do research and lookup. Anyway, that's it for the tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, please add them below. And if you like my videos, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And I'm gonna try to get a blog article to go along with this and put a link below and have the code in so that if anybody else wants to try something like this, you can do it. So have fun with SuiteCRM 8, and I'm learning this as we go, kind of the same as you. So I'm very familiar with SuiteCRM 7 and customizing it a million different ways. SuiteCRM 8 has been a bit of a challenge for me because I initially thought it was way more complicated than it actually is. But as you can see, it's not that bad. So on some of this stuff, I'm kind of breaking new ground. So it's a little bit confusing for me when I started. But now that it's done, I can use this over and over, and hopefully you guys can find a use for this. And again, if it's useful for you, please like and subscribe. Have a great day.